Good evening. I'm Jonathan Higgins.
I'm Rich Carlson.
And this is the last Scanner Guys show for 2021.
It's been a good ride this year.
It's been a long ride. We've gone through 52 shows. This will be our final show for 2021. We have some pretty interesting news coming up.
Yes.
As Chris Schultz said in the chat, in case some of you have been reading it, Rich Carlson will be retiring from Scanner Master, but not retiring from this show.
Right, yeah. And not 100% retired, but yeah. I'm retiring. I've been working every day of my life for 45 years. I'm due for some downtime.
Yeah. And so that's going to be interesting to see. So we're looking forward to that. We've got some exciting news, but let's get to the slideshow right now. All right, so this will be our year in review in 2021. We had some interesting shows. We're going to go over those shows in length so you'll be able to see what we covered in this year. So we'll show you this. As always, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to our social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at, of course, The Scanner Guys. And check out our website, thescannerguyshow.com. That's thescannerguyshow.com. While you're there, shop our swag, hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, and all types of other things in our store. And you can also sign up for our newsletter, which we'll be using quite a bit next year. So make sure you do that as well. Sign up for the newsletter. And you can do that all through our website. All right, so there's a big announcement that we're going to be talking about. It kind of was things were kind of brought upon us at the beginning of the week. So we had to act a little fast and come up with a new type of programming lineup for 2022.
Yep, a slight change in the schedule, or schedule if you're from the UK.
So let's move us over here. So let's explain it. So 2022, you notice there's 222.
Yep.
See a common thing there?
Yeah, I do.
So in 2022, there's going to be 2 Scanner Guys shows a month and 2 Train Aficionado shows a month.
Yep. Everything on Wednesday.
Everything is on Wednesday. So no remembering, is it Monday night? Is it Wednesday night? It's going to be all on Wednesday. On the first and third Wednesday of every month, you'll have the Train Aficionado show live, or you will have a pre-produced show that'll premiere at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
As for the Scanner Guys, you'll either have a live show or a pre-produced show that'll premiere at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. So first and third, Train Aficionado, second and fourth, the Scanner Guys show.
Yeah, and I will still be there as well as Jonathan.
Yep. So a little bit different programming. We're trying this to grow both shows.
Yeah.
And trying to make it easy. So it's appointment viewing for both Train Aficionado show and the Scanner Guys show. So we're going to be actually adding some more stuff to our website in the next coming weeks. We're going to be looking for more guest hosts. Mm-hmm. We're going to be looking for more interviews. There's going to be all types of stuff coming up. So we're looking forward to 2022. So hopefully you guys as well. And I hope you guys like the new programming lineup coming next year.
Yep.
Also, we've been taking a lot of your comments, suggestions, and so on. As for the Train Aficionado show and the Scanner Guys show, the other thing is it's going to be a more tighter package. So it'll be probably about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to try to keep it under an hour and a half at most.
No more 3-hour shows.
No more 3-hour shows. Good question. So Rich and I haven't decided what we're going to do on those months. So that could be interesting. Depending on what's going on in the world whether it's in the rail fanning world or the scanner end of things, maybe we'll have a bonus.
Maybe we'll do a bonus show, or maybe we'll have a week off. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Maybe we can arrange for doing a live show out in the field or something like that too. So
yeah. So we'll see what happens when we have 5 Wednesdays a month. As far as I know, January does not, so we don't have to worry about that just yet. I'm sure there's a couple of months that
we
do.
know there won't be 5 Wednesdays in February. There are in March, so March would be interesting.
Yes.
We'll have to see. Alice Brannigan is dead. So she died along with Tom Nitel and several other personas. So may he and she rest in peace.
Okay, that I don't know who this is, but
Alice Brannigan was one of Tom Nitel's pen names when he wrote in Popcom and in other magazines.
Oh, I see. What's this?
Only one comment or question per show. Yeah, but you just did 5 Facebook posts, Dale. You know, it's like all of a sudden my Facebook just went cling.
Yeah, we don't mind. We don't mind the comments and everything. But yeah, we're trying to do this to be a little bit more variety in our life too. To have a little bit of trains and scanners.
Yep. Yeah, it should be fun. And like Jonathan said, we're going to tighten things up so that we don't run on and on and on and on. And I think it'll be a lot more enjoyable for everybody to keep things a little more compact.
All right. Keeping the trend of keeping things more compact. Let's take a look at our past year. This is the first time we've ever done this type of year in review. So you guys watching, let us know if this is helpful. I know a lot of you kind of tuned in, here and there. Some of you are not sure what shows we have on our channel. This is going to be a great preview to be able to see what shows we have in the channel so you can be able to watch them. So we started off January pretty strong with a mobile police scanner shack show where we basically went over what you can do in your vehicle. We showed off a few suggestions and options, and then we jumped right to
connectors, all the different connectors that are on the scanners, antenna connectors and jacks on the scanner and such. And basically, it was mostly the antenna connectors, the difference between a BNC and an SMA and a PL259 and an N connector.
And then we went into programming tips for multiple scanners, radio setup. So you could see up there, we have an example of it, of one of the slides from that show, showing what if you have, this combination of scanners, what are the suggestions for programming it. The great thing about it is we also highlighted, if you got an analog radio laying around and most of your area is digital, what to do with it.
Oh, yeah. And it's one of the great tips on that was if you've got multiple radios of the same type is to clone them, because the scanners these days have so much memory. You're not going to have to worry about filling them up. And then that way you can reassign scanners much more easy. So if you got 2 536s, have them both set up exactly the same and you can move things around.
And then of course, January had a show about the SDS 100 and 200, the frequent asked questions. Yeah. So if you're a super fan of the SDSs, the 100 and 200, this will be definitely a show to watch. We've had a couple of shows about the SDSs. And the funny thing, we got tons of feedback when we did that survey. Mm-hmm. There wasn't enough shows about the SDS 100 and 200.
I mean, we've done 3 or 4 of them this year.
Yes,
on the SDSs, and it's not enough. Too much is not enough when it comes to the SDSs.
Apparently. And then, January is a pretty strong show. All of these shows you can see on our YouTube channel. So if you go to the Scanner Guys on YouTube, as you're watching right now, you can peruse all these shows and definitely take a look at it. Let's take a look at February, what we had.
While you're there, Messy Shack had a question. I'm not logged in, so I can't pop that comment up. But when does the new schedule start? It actually starts this coming week or next week. We're still working on getting the dates and stuff changed on the YouTube schedule.
Yeah, all the dates need to be changed slightly on the YouTube schedule. I mean, this was I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, there's some changes with the sponsorship of this show, so we basically did this to benefit us, essentially. And so we're gonna realign everything. So all the shows that you see that we're gonna do in January are gonna get pushed back every other. So all those shows you will get to see. It's just the dates are gonna slightly change. All right, let's go back to the slideshow. Good question. Keep them rolling in. I mean, this slideshow presentation is not going to be terribly long tonight. So if you guys have a lot of questions, or you got a new toy for Christmas and you got a question to ask us, feel free, put it in the comments.
You betcha.
All right, let's
and
get
we have
back.
our producers actively harvesting all those questions for us.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we finally got to put a face to the name.
Yeah,
I know I'm going out of order with the show bullet points here, but Dale Osborne, which is in the studio audience tonight, joined us as a communication expert. Was a great interview with him.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Really enjoyed it. You know, Dale, you need to come on to the show, either show. You know, talk about trains or talk about scanners. We'd love to have you on again. Let's go back to the top. So we talked about some of the hidden police scanner menu functions. Now, these are not technically hidden, but there's something that unless we go looking in the manual or you learn
lesser known type of stuff.
Yeah. So this is a really cool show where we kind of dived into what search with scan is, some of the other features that are on the radio that you didn't know, like some of the other. I think we also covered the close call modes. Why is there so many different options?
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that people don't know the scanners do. And that's a lot of the stuff we talked about on that show. And then we went into the police base station antennas, or the police scanner base station antennas. Where you're going to put an antenna on the roof or in the attic, and some alternatives. So if you're looking to put an antenna on the roof, go back and watch that show from February, and that was a great one.
And then we covered also police scanner doctors, I should say, where we were fixing the common problems of radios. A lot of times these are things that you run into, such as, with the unit on home patrol, with the attenuator, and you notice all of a sudden you're getting no reception. Common problem that happens all the time. Leave the attenuator off.
And those are questions that were directly out of either these comments or our helpline comments, and our support box questions and such. So these are a lot of the questions that we get relatively often. And big ones is like, all of a sudden my radio just starts cutting out every 2 seconds. Yeah, well, turn off close call and that'll stop. And that's one of the most common questions. Or my home patrol just doesn't receive very well. It's probably because you got the attenuator turned on. That type of stuff.
All right, let's take a look. Further on we go. So
another 5-show month.
Yeah, this was a 5-show month, and it looks like this upcoming March is going to be another 5-show month.
Yeah.
Another great interview that we spoke to Tom Swisher. He's a scanner enthusiast. He's also a rail fan. So we basically hit the 2 points right together. Interesting guy. We'd love to have him back on the show again.
Yeah.
I just the screenshot there just speaks words. Really great show that we did that definitely worth a rewatch was the monitoring maritime communications.
And that'd be a good one to watch in the springtime when people start getting back out on the water.
And then the other one that we got a lot, one of the Joes was egging us on to do the Scanner Quick Keys.
Yeah.
So we did the Scanner Quick Keys show.
Yeah, and neither one of us are big fans of quick keys anyway, so we had to do a little bit of research on that as well. And we talked about the good things and the bad things about using quick keys. Again, like I said, I'm not a big fan of them. I don't think you are either, but they are a useful tool.
They are a useful tool. I just don't use them every day. And then it was like, oh, yeah, I really had to look in the manual. All right, how do you do this? And I had to set it up in my radio so it would work.
And then we talked about jargon, the stuff that you're going to hear, the buzzwords that you're going to hear quite a bit on the scanner, either from the people you're listening to on the scanner or from other scanner people using that that certain vernacular that's very common in the scanner world.
And then the next thing we had is analog police scanners in a digital world.
Yeah.
And this was a really good show because we kind of dived into the things that are still analog or, things that you can use that analog scanner for. If it's a really great scanner and it's got phenomenal reception, you may want to use it as a weather alert radio.
Yeah. And there's a lot of places that have gone digital that you can still use an analog scanner for certain things. A lot of places will use their old analog channels as car to car or operations or TAC channels. They may offload the old police repeater to the public works or to the snow plows or something like that. And there's other stuff to listen to: marine channels, aviation, railroads, businesses, ham radio. There's all kinds of stuff that still use analog.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a ton out there, and that was a good show to be able to watch. Let's dive into April. April had some interesting new shows for us. Of course, we've never covered this, and this is the first time, was the forestry, wildfire, and environmental services. This is something that we've never talked about before.
Yeah, and it's one of those lesser known services that, everybody likes to listen to police, fire, and EMS. But there's a lot of other stuff that uses radios, and that can be very interesting. And depending on where you live, if you live in California or other places of the West where wildfires or, wildland fires are a big thing, like where I'm at, we have fires all summer long. And I can't go in my backyard in the summertime without smelling smoke from a fire that's this way or that way or the other way. And, if you're in California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada, that's wildland fire country. We talked to Chuck Geisey, the editor of National Communications.
That was an interesting talk with him. He was able to talk about the magazine and what actually kind of happened with it through the history of it when he took it over.
Yeah. I've known Chuck for, I don't know, 1.5 million years or 1.75 million years, something like that. And he's he knows what he's talking about. So when he says something, you're probably a pretty good idea that it's true.
And then we also talked about the public safety channel infrastructure, which really, gives you kind of the path of where the dispatch call can end up. I mean, especially nowadays where a lot of trunking systems are out there and there's a lot of talk groups. So, like a structure fire could be dispatched on the fire dispatch channel. Operations can be sent to an operations or ground channel. They can be assigned a secondary channel. You may hear activities over interop channel when they need more assistance from other cities or towns. But yeah, I mean, there's so much infrastructure now with communication with trunking because there's a lot more channels.
And there's a lot more to it than just a dispatch channel.
Yep.
And what happened in May?
Let's go dive into that.
There you go. So we talked, the first show was building the perfect shack. So there are a lot of different ways that you can make a shack. You can use rack mount. You can use these stands. You can put them on shelves. All kinds of different ideas that we talked about for putting together the perfect scanner shack for your house.
We also talked about hunting for new police scanner frequencies, using close calls, service searches, and custom searches as well. So we kind of dived into that as well. So giving you some of the tips and tricks, and also with trunking systems, whether it be the wildcard or the ID search.
Yep. And then we start talking about how a trunking system works for the user, not just the listener, but the guys actually behind the microphones and what they do expect, and how things are different for using a trunking system instead of a conventional system on the police officer, the firefighter, or the garbage man end. What they, how they have to do things a little different. And it is different than trying to use a standard conventional radio.
And then, of course, we did police scanners for newbies. A lot of times, we may have somebody that stumbles across our channel and, some tips and suggestions from the experts.
Yep.
And let's dive into the next month here. All right, June, I should say.
Yeah. A little warmer in June. So the first show there's another 5-show month. Listening to other digital modes like DMR, NXDN, and Pro Voice. In most areas, if it's digital, it's P25, but there are some areas and some services that often use alternate digital modes, and how you can listen to those and what you need to do differently for those.
Then we also started our normal, right around this time, traveling with a scanner show. So we went over tips and suggestions with using a scanner in the vehicle, such as using a GPS, and we kind of dived into that as well. And then we talked about simulcast without an SDS scanner.
Oh, boy. It can be done. Yep. And then we did another one of our deep dives, and this time we took apart a 436 and a 536 and showed you all the innards and outwards of the of those scanners, and what they look like on the inside, and the different the accessories and stuff you can get for them, and all the different programming tips and tricks needed for those two radios. And then it was Ask the Scanner Guys. Your questions, you got questions, and we had answers.
Yeah, we did a couple of those this year.
Yep.
Dive right into July. We had another great interview with Jock out of New York State. He runs a commuter net, and he talked about the scanners he used for listening to traffic incidents along the highways and byways in upstate New York.
Yeah, he's an interesting fellow. And then there's weird stuff to listen to. Again, the stuff that is not quite as common, FRS and ham radio, GMRS, itinerant channels, stuff at the mall. And, again, a police scanner isn't just for police and fire. You can listen to a lot of other stuff. Basically, if they talk on the radio, good chance that you can hear it.
And then looking for the best police scanner antenna. So we kind of looked at all the best options out there for if you were in the market for an antenna. You're probably looking at right around July. You're probably looking, to change some things. The weather's nice. It's not snowy or cold, to do a little project.
Yeah.
So we dived into that. And then discovering the features on your scanner. So it was another one of those shows where we looked at overall features on your scanner, how to use them, and what they're all about.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that these scanners do that people just don't realize a lot. So, and then another deep dive into everybody's favorite scanner that has not been discontinued, and that was the BC 125. Took an inside look at the guts, and then it was the top 10 classic unit and scanners. That one was a lot of fun.
And then it was our audience photos of their scanner shacks, which I was really excited about that show. I mean, it was great to see other people's shacks. We want to do that again in 2022. So definitely, if you want to send us photos of your shack for an upcoming show, certainly email us at the Scanner Guys at gmail.com, thescannerguys@gmail.com. And then the weirdest scanners, Rich.
Oh, yeah. These are some things like the 8-track scanner and those kind of oddball, weird nonsense scanners that you got to think, you're like, what in the world were they thinking when they came up with that?
Sure.
It was like, it's like when God created the platypus. What in the heck was he thinking? And when Uniden came up with the 8-track scanner, what were they thinking?
And then we'll go right into September, back to school for some. Was another Ask the Scanner Guys. And then we went into Radio Shack's history of scanners. Yes, Radio Shack's history of scanners, because from the 1970s to the end, we looked at all of their product lineup and talked about that.
Oh, man, did they have a boatload of different scanners. They had, and Radio Shack, back in the 70s, Radio Shack is where you went to get a scanner. And they had everything.
And then, the deep dive in the Uniden Home Patrol. We did another deep dive, and we've taken a look at the Uniden Home Patrol 1 and 2.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on behind me tonight.
Yeah, this is that squiggly thing walking around back there.
Yeah, that's Watson. I'm not too sure what his deal is.
Oh, that's the dog. Oh, okay. I thought it was a big squirrel.
No. And then we also have base mobile scanners made by the other guys, so not by Uniden or Whistler. Some of those other off brands, that made a couple of scanners here and there.
Yeah, there was like Robin and Regency and Cobra and a whole bunch of other names that are long, long gone.
And then we also had
the Radio Reference,
Radio Reference, frequently asked questions.
Yeah, and like I say, if you have a scanner, you have to be on Radio Reference. There's just, there's no other place to be when it comes to that. So Radio Reference is such a huge part of the hobby these days. So we talked quite a bit about that. That was a long show too.
And then we also have our October show where we talked about a whole bunch of things, such as the miscellaneous scanner tips and the snow plowing and highway maintenance, and of course an Ask the Scanner Guys and multicouplers.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and multicouplers. If you got more than one scanner, a multicoupler might be what you need, especially if you've got a whole bunch of scanners. You're not going to put up 16 antennas up on your roof or in your attic. And you get one good antenna, you can share it amongst the whole boatload of radios. Oh, we missed a month.
Yeah, there's something strange with this now. Yeah, there's a month missing.
There you are.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Yeah, something a little flaky with the slideshow there.
Yeah, November. Yeah, now
November.
It's a little chilly out there. So if you're a Mac person, go back and watch the first show from November. And it's how you can do programming on a Mac. And the basic end of that was either run Windows on your Mac or go out and get a Windows computer. But you and I are both Mac guys.
Yeah.
And it's you can do it. It can be done. It certainly can be done. And, like I say, people who have Macs are very loyal to Macs.
Yeah. And then all about SD cards. This is where we've taken a look at the history of SD cards. And we looked at, how they're used in scanners and what particular size SD card you should get. Pretty much everything SD cards, we talked about during the show. Yeah. Then we also talked about, holiday gift ideas for 2021. So we dived into that as well. And then, of course, we had our annual Thanksgiving Eve Ask the Scanner Guys, and a slip up of words occurred. We won't revisit that, but that was our reactions of
and that we did a lot talking about food that day too. So
yes.
Yeah. And other things.
Well, the food didn't have anything to do with the slip up that he made.
And when you got yourself picked up off the floor, it was go back and watch that show. It was fun.
All right, December. We're at December.
Mhm.
So scanning the big cities, where we looked at basically the top largest cities in the country.
Yeah.
Who is still using analog? Who is
Yeah.
moving the digital, and who may be moving the digital in the future? And one of those cities was still using Pro Voice.
Yeah.
So go figure.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because some of the biggest cities are still using the oldest technology, and basically it's because it's so expensive to move to the newer stuff, and especially on such a huge scale. Chicago, where the map is shown on the picture there, they have been working for the last 2 years on a P25 system, and I'd be surprised if that system is operational in the next 2 years. So, this has been going on for such a long time, and it's going to be going on for a long time more.
Some of these slow to the draw people go into the newest technology. By the time they get the system up and running, it's going to be old technology.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, and then we start talking about stuff that is unlicensed, things like, low power business, FRS, and certain other services that you don't need a license, or it's what they call licensed by rule, and CBEs and all kinds of stuff that is not licensed either legally or not.
And then we took a deep dive. Yes, a deep dive. This is where we did our deep dive series into the SDS 100 and 200. So if you just purchased one of the SDS 100 and 200, you may want to watch all the SDS shows that we have on the channel. We have several of them. You can see we had about a handful of them this year, and we've had some last year, of course, so definitely tune in for that.
Yeah,
and then
we did inside pictures, and we took the radios apart so you don't have to.
And then, of course, we talked about last week, we talked about ham radio for scanners, where we kind of dived into how to monitor ham radio, what you'll hear. We even talked a little bit about GMRS as well. So definitely a really good show. I mean, if you have any questions about ham radio and you're interested in monitoring that, that's a show worth watching.
Absolutely. And then the last show of the year is the year in review.
Which
we are reviewing the reviewing of the reviewing here.
Yes. All right. So that kind of, I'm not too sure if you guys like that, if we should do it again next year. If not, we'll do something a little different next year when we do our final show of the year. But that wraps up the overall slideshow presentation. We want to just remind you that the Scanner Guys are brought to you by viewers like you tonight. We appreciate everything that you do, watching the channel, subscribing to the channel. Also, a lot of you have bought hats and T-shirts and coffee mugs. We can't stress enough how important it is to have you guys as an audience. I mean, you allow us to be able to, I've shown this several times, update technology in our studios here. I mean, Rich and I are not in the same location. You're in Arizona. I'm in Ohio right now. So, us being able to do this, I mean, the things of what you do with purchasing those things allows us to keep up with the website, be able to do with the streaming, the streaming services and all that.
We got to have microphones and cameras, stream decks. The service that we use, we have to pay for that, and there are expenses involved. So every time you buy a T-shirt or a hat or a pullover or something like that, it helps us do more to provide a show to you.
That's for sure. And the other great thing is we're always looking for, if you're part of one of the companies that are related to, making scanner items, we're always looking for sponsorships or things like that. Or if you want to participate in some sort of giveaway, with us giving away some sort of, cool antenna or whatever it may be, and somebody that works in the industry, drop us a line, thescannerguys@gmail.com. We'd love to be able to entertain that as well. But we can't do this without you guys, and we really do appreciate it. Speaking of that, perfect segue to this, we want to remind you, you can purchase all these things that are in our store plus more at our website, thescannerguyshow.com. And of course, if you haven't already, sign up for the newsletter. we're going to start using that newsletter a little bit more to remind you of schedules of programming and so on. We're going to try to, for 2022, we basically have the first 2 months of Scanner Guys shows planned. We just need to build the slideshows. But as for the topics, our first topic will be Uniden. We're talking about, not Uniden, Whistler. Whistler. We're talking about Whistler scanners, and about their product lineup and what it all looks like. There hasn't been a lot of changes.
No.
But if you're looking for an inexpensive phase one digital scanner, we're going to talk about, their 2 clean slate scanners. We'll talk a little bit about the TRX 1 and 2, and we'll dive into that a little bit next week. But first, the first Wednesday of January will be the Train Aficionado live show. It'll be debuting on a Wednesday rather than Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on the Train Aficionado YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to this channel as well, because all these broadcasts are going to be on this channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on this channel, so definitely subscribe there. And then on the following Wednesday, we will be live on the Scanner Guys channel. We'll be talking about Whistler scanners, and that'll be January the 12th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. So that should be a good show there as well. So we are looking forward to this brand new lineup of shows coming in 2022. Should be exciting. We are looking forward to it. Now it's time to get into your questions. So let me just take a look here. Yeah. I'm going to start right with Chris Schultz here. He asked a question about the Pro 94. That scanner works great on railroad frequencies.
I did get his question on the support line, and I did reply back to it. So the Pro 94 is an older analog scanner, and it does work great on the railroad frequencies. Obviously, not being digital, it won't work for the digital system that's in your state, but it is a good analog scanner. And we did speak a couple months back about using an analog scanner in a digital area, and that's pretty much what you've got right there.
All right. We'll address this again from Messy Shack. The new schedule will start next week. So we're premiering Train Aficionado live on Wednesday night, and then the Scanner Guys will be the following Wednesday, and then it'll basically go back and forth. Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. So definitely check that out. Our next question here. So have you ever done this, Rich?
Yeah, I have. I used to do discriminator taps on a lot of scanners, and they're great for things like PL decoders, and back in the day when I was doing data decoding. I do have a couple scanners that do have a discriminator tap, but I'm really not using that anymore, except for that one PL decoder for the one radio. It used to be you use the discriminator tap to decode trunking signals, PL tones, pagers, and other data. But nowadays, a lot of that stuff is either gone or the scanners already do that. Scanners these days already have PL decoding on them, so there's no need to have a discriminator tap for that. But you can also use them for decoding trunking data signals, but there are a lot of programs that you don't need to do that. If you've got an XT scanner or 996P2 or an older GRE, TRX, or not TRX, but a WS1065 or a PSR 600, you can go on the data output of that scanner and not have to do a discriminator tap anymore.
All right, and let's see here. So Charles is asking about a segment on what you can do with old scanner crystals. Unless you have a scanner that takes the crystals, not much you can really do with it.
You can use the metal part, the metal pins as a toothpick. Or if you're missing a tooth, you might be able to paint it white and use it as a replacement tooth. There's not a whole lot you can do with scanner crystals anymore. Scanners don't come, aren't set up for crystals any longer. But if you do have an older scanner, an older crystal scanner, and if you can find crystals for them, they're hard to find in the right frequencies. So I don't know if the crystal manufacturers are still in business or not.
Yeah, I mean, you can resell them if you could sell them, and people may be still wanting them. But
yeah, I mean, every once in a while you'll see a crystal scanner at a Hamfest, or it'll come up online or something like that. But older analog scanners and programmable scanners are so cheap nowadays. I mean, you can go out and buy an analog scanner that does everything Crystal Scanner ever did and a whole bunch more for $20 on eBay. Yeah, so there's really no point in buying a Crystal Scanner much anyways.
Yeah, we had Lindsay on like a year or so ago.
Yeah, it was in 2020, I think it was.
And many months ago, Dan Lindsay mentioned that Ready Reference is going to have some major upgrades. There's some new features coming to Ready Reference. Yeah. I know they have that. They've done some stuff on Broadcastify.
Yeah, they're doing a thing called calls. Basically, they're linking the Radio Reference database to Broadcastify feeds. So if you take a look at a line in the Radio Reference database and it's got a link on it, you can click on that and it'll bring you to the feed that's listening to that particular channel or talk group.
All right, and
and there's more stuff coming, but he hasn't announced the details on those yet. All right. So the Bluetail Tech is basically, from what I understand, an SDR, software-defined radio. I think it's one that you can program with your computer and then use it independently of the computer, much like a programmable scanner, but without a real user interface. Some of the old timers might remember the old PCR 100s from ICOM. Same kind of thing. You would set it up on the computer, and then you could take it with you and listen to it without it being attached to a computer.
All right.
It's supposed to work very well at P25, from what I understand.
Let's see here. And that looks like.
Well, there's a question from. I was just about to say the right thing. Is there anything listened to in the 220 interop frequencies? So there are a couple of different services that were set up right up and around 220. From about 216 to 220 itself, there's a Marine band called I think it's called IMTS, and it was originally designed to provide phone patch and other dispatch type services to inland waterway Marines traffic on the Ohio and Mississippi and Missouri rivers and such. And it got pretty popular for a while, but from what I understand, it's kind of petered out now that everybody's got a cell phone. There are some 220 megahertz public safety allocations as well. And most of the stuff that I've heard on that were in the Chicago area, one of the locales use it for fire station alerting. So there's some very limited use of that. And of course, there's a 220 ham band. There was supposed to be a nationwide system built by UPS, which is why the lower section of the 220 ham band was removed from hams and provided to other services. But from what I understand, that never got into operation. So they never got that built out.
So there's a question here about, doing what you mentioned with the output for phase 2. See, I haven't experimented with any of this. So it's possible.
There's a program that I used quite a bit, and I still use it every once in a while. It's called Pro 96 Com. And it's a free download from the guy who wrote PSR Edit. It's a free software program that you can connect to a bunch of different radios. You can use a 1065. You can use a PSR 500 or 600 or Pro 96 if you've got one of those laying around, or a 2096. You can even use a 996 XT. And basically what it does is it takes a P25 data signal, and you can then view it on the screen. It decodes it, and it'll tell you this talk group is active and this radio ID is talking on that talk group, and these two talk groups are patched. This guy just affiliated to that talk group. You can hook a second radio up to it and use that second radio to be directed to a voice channel when that's decoded from the control channel. It will work on a P2 system because the scanner is just decoding the data. The data is still phase one on 99% of the scanner of the systems out there that are P25. The data is still P25, so you can hear it just fine on a 1065. Some of the voice is phase two, and if the voice is phase two, you need to have a scanner that's capable of phase two in order to listen to the voice while you're using that software. It is, and like I say, it is the CC dump, which is the control channel dump, and Pro 96Com uses that directly. You don't have to do anything else to the radio, just set it up. There are other software packages that will use the CC dump setting in the radio, but I've never used those. The only one I've used on that is the Pro 96Com.
All right, I'll grab this one. So is there any reason not to purchase the SDS 200 at this time? Not that I know of. Everything that's been addressed with that radio has been corrected. The radio is solid. It's definitely a great workhorse. Price is not going to go down anytime soon. That price is going to stay the same. So if you're waiting for that price to go down, you'll be waiting a long, long time. Yeah. The radio is certainly phenomenal. If you're in an area where it's plagued with simulcast, then that's the radio to go to. If you have a budget and you're not dealing with simulcast, there's a ton of scanners in the Uniden catalog that are phase two capable and that work great. So, I mean, the reason why I would say somebody to spend the money on the 200 if you're dealing with simulcast.
Yeah, or you really like that color display. But, you can save yourself a couple $100 and get a 996 P2 if you're not dealing with simulcast.
All right, Jim, you got a question that's a huge blanket question. Yeah. Rubber duck antenna, base antenna, mobile antenna, which type of antenna are you looking for? Because that's a broad question. Depending on what category, it's hard for us to narrow that down. So if you're still watching, let us know what category.
Yeah, there are a lot of good antennas, and you really need more information than that. And as kind of a follow-up, what about phase two audio from a 1065 through a PC when we were talking about using a computer and the CC dump feature? You need to I don't have a good answer for that because I have not done that particular thing. What I've done is I've decoded the data channel and then I've hooked up a second radio to decode the audio. I have not then recovered the audio through a PC. That's something you can do with an SDR. And there's a lot of documentation on how to do that with an SDR, or actually with a pair of SDRs, one for the data and one for the voice. I've got a friend of mine who does that quite often, and he just whizzes right through it. And I tried it once, I got it to work, and then I never played with it again.
Okay. Ed, good question. I see that you meant 2022.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're kind of, even if we did know something, we're sworn not to say anything. I would say that Uniden's probably active with things.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd be very surprised if they weren't.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they would have something to announce in the new year
Yeah.
because it's been how long? It's been a bit.
It's been a bit. It's been a couple, 3 years now since the SDS 200 came out. So you got to figure they've got something in the pipeline.
And
And I'm
based
sure Whistler's probably got something they're working on too. I hope so, anyway.
well, based on the history of Uniden, a lot of times we hear something every 3 to 5 years. There's usually a new item coming out, so we're due. I'm not too sure, what it'll be or whatever it will be, but I feel like, we should hear something. I mean, the one that's concerning, like you said, Rich, is Whistler.
Yeah.
It's been very, very quiet.
They've been very quiet. So I hope that they surprise us and come up with something really, really wonderful. And, even though I'm more of a Uniden guy myself, I'm much more used to them and I'm more familiar with them. Whistler does come out with good, does have a good product. They've just been a little stale recently, but they compete with each other. And competition makes things better and makes each company better. So, hopefully both companies will come out with something good sooner rather than later. The problem is these days with all the nonsense going on these days, the supply shortages, chip shortages, personnel
that
shortages,
stuff down.
Yeah, it's just it's just such a bad time this time, these days for new products. So you just hope that they can get past that and get into something new. And I'd love for them to surprise us with something good.
Yeah, I mean, I know Dale has been harping on Remote Head.
Yeah.
We've been bugging them too, Remote Head, and not getting any traction. So hopefully, base antennas.
Base antennas. All right.
So top of the line, if you're looking for wideband, crazy wideband, the Ferret is definitely a good option. If you're in a section 2 where there's still low band, the Ferret's a good one to go with.
Yeah, and you can put up an 8-foot tall antenna.
Yeah, 8-foot tall antenna. That works really well, but it's costs a lot of money. It's not a cheap antenna. The other one that that we talk about a lot is the Discone.
I'm a big fan of the Discone. The
D130
is a great antenna.
Originally, you wasn't because you like the
ST2
no longer produced.
Yeah, but I've been more and more a fan of the Discone over the last couple of years, just because they're so versatile. They do just about everything pretty darn well. They're not super fantastic here, there, or elsewhere, but it's like the turtle and the hare. The hare is really quick, but he doesn't have the endurance. The turtle is just slow and steady, and he's going to get to the end of the run, before the turtle, because the turtle's going to wear, or before the hare, because the hare is going to wear himself out. That Discone antenna is going to work better than a lot of other alternatives on just about everything. And not only that, if you're ham, you can transmit through it. So if you can only have one antenna and you got to do a lot of different things, a Discone is your friend.
Here's a good question. Unfortunately, those towers that are grouped together are all programmed exactly the same.
Yeah.
So even if you were able to isolate it out, each one of those towers that are part of a simulcast system are all programmed the same. That's what causes that annoying burst. And it's basically your scanner is receiving signals from different directions at the same time or slightly off. And it just sends those binary code zeros and ones into a blender, and then blip, 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 and you're not getting a reception.
Yeah, and there's no way with programming to isolate one radio tower out of a simulcast site. The only way to really isolate a single radio tower in a simulcast site to help avoid the simulcast distortion is basically by antenna and location. And you reduce your antenna efficiency enough, you get it directional, you block reception to the other sites, whatever you need to do to force the antenna to only see one site out of the 2, 3, or 17 simulcast sites in your area. you can do it. Unfortunately, there's just no way to do it with programming.
Okay. I'm not too sure if Dan's being funny, but yes, the 125 AT is still
Yes,
being,
they are, Dan.
still being made as far as I know. So good news there. As for Dayton Hamfest, I'm not too sure what, the sponsor of the show is, whether or not they're going or not. I mean, if we're able to raise enough money through the Scanner Masters, the Scanner guys may actually make an appearance. But yeah, I don't know. That's totally up in the air for Scanner Master, whether or not they'll be
whether or not Dayton itself is going to be a go. Last I heard, they were planning on it, but that was before Omicron came along. So it all depends, and nobody really knows for sure yet. We hope that it will be in place, but I'm not going to bet the farm on it.
No, and I would like to, at least if Scanner Master is not present there, I would love to do something with the Scanner guys being there, if possible. I mean, you guys, that's a lot of you guys go to the show, and it would be a great opportunity to be able to meet some of you guys, and maybe do a live broadcast from there.
Absolutely.
Which would be awesome to have a live studio audience. But as of right now, knowing, Rich at Scanner Master, he's very last minute, even though if things settle down with COVID and what such, he's very last minute. So we won't know that until who knows when.
Yeah.
But, if things start to, if COVID,
let's see, it starts on Friday. We might know that Thursday.
Yeah. So as for that, who knows? Let me just see here. Yeah, I mentioned about Dale and the remote heads. That would be awesome to be able to have a remote head for one of those radios. I don't remember the answer. What is the most inexpensive P2 scanner? So
325.
Yeah, the 325, is going to be the least expensive. The thing is,
and it's a nickel less than $400.
Yeah, and that's without programming. So you're going to have to do programming. You're going to have to invest into software. The other thing, too, is you may want to take a look at the Radio Reference sales page, where people sell some of their equipment. You may be able to find a 325 that's a little bit less. And, if you're on a tight budget, you have to remember you're going to need some programming, whether it having somebody do the programming for you or purchasing software. The other thing that you could look at, if you're able to find a used Home Patrol 2, that would make it easier, because the nationwide database is in there, and the programming software, which the Sentinel software, is a free download. So that could be another thing, but you got to find one that somebody's selling a Home Patrol 2 under $400.
Yeah, and if you're going to get a new radio, there's only one Phase 2 radio that is under $400 new, and that's the 325, which is currently about $399.95. Everything else that does Phase 2 is going to be more than $400. You can get a used radio. Make sure you know who your seller is, or it's a trustworthy seller, or at least a trustworthy forum where you can get some redress if something's bad with it. But but the other thing too is make sure they're actually using Phase 2 where you want to listen to. If you're in Michigan or Ohio where they're using Phase 1 only right now, then you might not need a Phase 2 now. And you might be able to get away at least for a couple of years with a Phase 1 scanner. And, but if they're already Phase 2 now, or they have plans to go to Phase 2, then you're better off just going straight to a Phase 2 radio. Because remember, a Phase 2 radio will also work on Phase 1 systems.
Yeah, that's the definitely key thing. Some of us are unfortunately
and that Radio Reference for sale form is very, very good. And it's intended specifically for scanner people. So,
I would say that there's been some interest, because a little bit more people are spending more time at home. But the problem is supply chain has kind of messed that up.
Yeah,
you don't have the scanners to sell people have the desire for them. So, for the last year, Scanner Master in particular has got in inventory and it's wiped out because, people, it comes in and goes out as quick as possible. But I would say probably COVID piqued interest into the hobby or re-piqued people's interest into the hobby because of, you've reached the end of Netflix or Hulu and you ran out of things to watch, and, they'll say, hey, I got an old scanner here. Let me see what I can hear. And if you're wiping off multiple layers of dust, more than likely that your agency could have gone to digital at this point. Yeah. And you're looking for a digital scanner, and you're either, okay, I want to buy it, but everybody's out of stock, or it's like, oh my God, they cost this much money. I remember when I bought this scanner, it was this much money. So
right after the COVID first started going gangbusters, not this past summer, but the summer before, we had a huge spike. We had inventory because the supply chain really hadn't been affected yet. We had a lot of inventory, but and we had a huge amount of demand, and it was all we could do to keep up with the phones. It was crazy. And then and then when the inventory started to run out, and things kind of calmed down. But yeah, for a while there, it really did grow much faster for a while, and now it's kind of leveled off a little bit.
As for decals, we do have them on the Scanner Guys store. So if you go to the scannerguyshow.com and you click on the store button, we actually have a nice big button right on our homepage. It'll bring you to our site, and then it takes you over to our store. Mm-hmm. We do have some decals for both the Scanner Guys and Train Aficionados, so you can definitely pick up those there. Let's take a look.
There's a couple comments about buying used radios and stuff. Make sure you know the new price of radios that you're looking at used, and compare that to that, because, and like Ron mentioned, there are a lot of people that are selling used scanners for more than what you can buy that same scanner for new. So make sure you're an informed consumer when you're buying used equipment. Make sure you're not paying more than what you need to.
Just trying to look to see if there's any other questions we can cover. The Virginian is one of my favorite Rail Fan t-shirts here that I'm wearing tonight.
Yeah.
I haven't done the laundry yet for my I only have, believe it or not, one Scanner Guys shirt, so I need to purchase another one of those.
Yeah. There was a question about how good is the TRX 1 and 2 on NXDN and DMR in conventional modes. For railroads and single channel DMR, they're actually very good on both modes in conventional modes. On DMR and NXDN in conventional modes, they work very, very well. They have good audio, good digital decode. Where they lack is the trunking capabilities. And that's why you pay more for Unidens for those modes, because they handle the trunking much better.
Yeah, I mean, my pet peeve with the TRX-1 is it works really well on digital audio-wise. Mm-hmm. What I found with analog, which we'll kind of talk about on the next Scanner Guys show, is the audio for analog was super low. If you're familiar with the TRX-1, the speaker is fairly small, so it kicks out nice loud audio on the digital, but on the analog, I wasn't too pleased with it. When I was living in Massachusetts, it was a mix of a lot of analog and some digital.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my primary radio to go to, because, I was like, I had the digital coming and booming in audio-wise loud, and then the analog's like, huh? You couldn't hear it. That was one of my pet peeves with it. And of course, that radio doesn't have like the Uniden radios have with the channel adjustment individual.
The volume offset feature,
volume offset
feature. I love that volume offset. We have a couple stations out here that are typically very low volume, and then you boost those up a little bit, and it kind of keeps things in a level balance. Taylor asked a couple minutes ago, about, as a former law enforcement officer, what's my views on stringers. So for those who aren't aware, a stringer is a guy who goes out and finds incidents, and gets the video and the story, and then sells that information to any of the news sources that want to buy it. So I've got some friends who've done this, and they will go out, they'll get the video and then sell the video to the local TV stations. And if you're good, you can make some pretty decent money at it. And the opinion on it, when I was on the police department and on the fire department, we just looked at those guys as other, just the same as the other guys in the media. They just didn't work for, Channel 12. They worked for themselves, and they sold it to Channel 12 or 14 or, Channel 63. It's just, they're just out there doing their job. And as long as they stay behind the tape, and, weren't doing crazy nonsense, they're fine. And there are times when, we would see them and, hey, you know what? If you go over here, you're going to be able to get a better shot at it, so it depends on, they're not giving us a hard time. We're not going to give them a hard time and let them do their thing, and they let us do our thing.
I just feel like, a little bit of within that industry, no matter if it's a stringer or the news media, as long as they're being polite to the police and firemen, is going to take them a long way. You're going to end up seeing them quite often. Yeah. And, like if somebody gives you, like if you let them know, hey, I got to push it back a little bit, and they respect it. The next time you see them, they're going to say, hey, this crew is very cooperative. I'm going to take care of them.
Yeah, we never had any problems with them where I work. They, like I say, they usually mind their P's and Q's. I only had one incident where a guy from the media got himself, kicked out and escorted away for doing some stupid stuff. And once he figured that out, we never had a problem with him again. So.
All right, let's see. I think we're.
Let's see here. Yeah, and there's a bunch of TV shows about stringers, according to some of these guys. I don't watch a lot of that stuff, but apparently there's some TV shows on some of the streaming services about stringers out there. Let's see here.
I think
eBay is good. I recommend using PayPal. Remember, whenever you're buying used equipment, make sure you have some sort of protection.
Yeah, I mean, definitely you want to make sure, I mean, the thing is if it's so close to the price of a new radio, buy the new radio. I mean, at least you have the warranty, the year warranty with it. I mean, the thing is, maybe you don't need that Starbucks coffee 5 days a week. I mean, you could save, the extra money for, let's say if you got X amount of dollars stored away, and you can find other ways to get a brand spanking new radio. I mean, the great thing about it is even the low end, the cheapest digital phase 2 scanner is a great scanner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not lacking anything other than, maybe not the best on simulcast, but
yeah. And any phase 2 scanner, every phase 2 scanner ever made is still being sold as new. Yeah. The only exception is Whistler has updated their WS-1095 and 1098s to the TRX, which is basically the same thing with a keypad. But all the Uniden scanners that have been phase 2, they're still making. So, so you're going to phase 2. The question came up from Aaron at 807. What the HP2 power charge port's not working. Is it worth sending in to get fixed, or should she keep just charging outside the radio? I would send it in, even if it's out of warranty. If it's in warranty, that's a no-brainer. Send it in, get it fixed for free. But even if it's out of warranty, Uniden charges a flat fee, and I think it's like $69 or $79 for out of warranty repairs. So get it fixed, and it'll be working right. And when you get it back, you don't have to diddle around with taking the batteries out and putting the batteries back in, and taking the batteries out and putting the batteries back in. All that messing around inside the radio is going to cause problems down the road. So, yeah, I'd send it in and get fixed. It's still a currently made radio, so it's certainly worth getting fixed, and especially if you want to sell it down the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a great thing. A fully working radio is certainly a good thing.
Yeah.
Since we're getting questions about the how much are the shirts, we can actually show what's in our store right now. I'm just sharing my screen right now, so we'll go to scannerguys.com. If you click on the shows, you can actually see oops, that's the wrong thing.
That's the YouTube channel.
Yeah, the store. I want to do the store. I got the show on my brain.
Yeah, so the scannerguyshow.com, and then click on the stores link.
Yeah, and you can see here, this is a sample of some of our stuff here. So if you're interested in a t-shirt, it's going to bring you to a wide variety of t-shirts. So we priced them fairly fair. It's a normal type of price, about $24.95. We've got a long sleeve shirt, which is $26.95. And then we've got, some hoodies here, which we have one that's just a regular pullover hoodie. And then we have a zip up hoodie, which was a request from a lot of you guys wanted a zip up hoodie.
Yeah.
So these are all the t-shirts and long sleeve shirts and hoodies that we have. If I click up here to our logo, where it just shows the Scanner Guys, you can see all of our products. We do have a sticker decal.
Yep.
It's about $5, so it's not that bad. $4.95. New things to this new store that we have is we have face masks, which are awesome. You can see that. And then we also have our coffee mugs. And this is available, like everything else, in a whole slew of colors. So if you want the Scanner Guys in pink, orange, green, whatever color you want, we can do that as well. And the other thing too, which I didn't show, which I'm going to go back out. Actually, let me go back here and take, for instance, you want a Scanner Guys long sleeve shirt and you want it in pink.
There you go.
There you go. You can get it in all the wide variety of colors that you can see here. So there's certainly more colors. If you are a person of larger stature, there is some larger size variety as well. I mean, I've seen things up to 4X, so certainly check that out as well. We also have our travel mug, which is here, and then of course we have our tote bag as well. We're going to work on some additional stuff.
Will we ship to Canada?
They'll ship. I believe they'll ship anywhere. And ship anywhere. So we basically do this through another company. We've uploaded our logos. We decided the colors and the types of things here, and this is basically our store. So anytime that you're purchasing stuff from here, it actually supports the channel. And then if Dayton doesn't happen in 2022, this could be something that, funds that we get from this could go to 2023, regardless if Scanner Master goes or not. The Scanner Guys may make an appearance there. And depending on how much we can raise, we may be able to do like a live broadcast from there, or who knows. But
even if I pay my own way, going to Dayton this year, if it's going to be a thing, we can do a show. We'll get a room and do a show for one of the evenings that we're there, and we can do some live shots while we're there, walking around.
Why are you laughing? I just forgot.
No, We're not going to get a room. We're going to get a room for the scanner guys to have a show. No.
Oh boy!
Yes. All right. This will be on next year's review.
Oh my word!
So, yeah, polo shirts. That I would like to get polo shirts. I like polo shirts. So
do we have polo shirts? Yeah, we're gonna look to see if there's polo shirts, speedos. There is underwear, I believe. I mean, if you guys really want Scanner Guys underwear, I believe it's available, and even leggings. If you want Scanner Guys leggings, I mean, I think it's on there.
Some of us of size, we can have a real big logo on the back of our underwear.
All the things that we showed you, the Train Aficionado, if you're a fan of that show as well.
Yep.
We also have a store for that as well. Carmen, are we skipping 2022?
Yeah. So so that means he wants us to have a really bad 2022 then. Okay. All right. So now if we do have a bad 2022, it's all Carmen's fault. New Year's Eve is one of the most active nights for pirates and SWLs. Okay. I will have to fire up the HF radio and see what I can find. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. 2022. Yeah. I think that's about it. Is there anything else that you think we need to address, Rich, before we sign off?
I think I'm good, my friend.
All right. So let's wrap up the show. So next Wednesday will be the premiere of Train Aficionado Live on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. That'll be the first Wednesday of the month. We'll be live with Train Aficionado. We're going to be talking about, we're going to actually be looking at some apps that you can use while rail fanning. And then we're also going to be maybe looking at a scanner tip or two with of course, the 125 AT, which we talk about all the time. And then, of course, Rich will have some photos from his photo archive. We'll be able to take a little road down memory lane with Rich. So that'll be a good show coming up on Wednesday. Following Wednesday, the Scanner Guys will be live again on our YouTube channel here, talking about Whistler scanners. Maybe kind of dive into a little history timeline of when GRE went away and Whistler came about, and then I'm not too sure if we want to go over the mortifications or whatever I want to call it that the TRX became.
Yeah, we'll talk about the different iterations of that particular scanner, because the TRX is pretty much an extenuation of the original GRE and Whistler products. So it's just the latest version of that.
Yeah,
kind of like the 996 T, XT, and P2. Yeah, a little bit of improvement here and there.
Yeah. So that'll be Wednesday, January the 12th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you tune in. As always, you can download on Roku or Apple TV or the Amazon, whatever it's called.
Fire Stick. Yes, we have to be very careful with our pronunciation.
Fire Stick.
Unless we make another slip up like we've had a couple times.
Like you have.
I'm not the only one that slipped the tongue.
No, I haven't done what you did. Yours, you said you loved it. Only the people that watch that show will know that it occurred.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, we're going to have a lot of fun next week and the week after.
Yep. So definitely tune in, follow, like, and subscribe to the Scanner Guys on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And definitely check out the website for the store and such, and sign up for our newsletter as well, thescannerguyshow.com. As always, it's been a great and fun year. We did 50 2 shows. This is, the first season that we did as the Scanner Guys. It was all over the place, what days and what times.
Yeah.
And then the second year, we've put it to Wednesday. We did take a couple of times off, but this year every Wednesday was consistent.
Yep, and both of us were here every week.
Every week. You were at dental appointments and God knows what, and you still came in.
There were a couple times when I walked in the back door and sat down, and sat down right from the dentist. I was talking anyway.
Yeah. So what is this? What happened next week? We're just moving the shows, so it'll be.
So Nigel, go back towards the beginning of the show, and you'll get all the details on that. So basically, we're doing 2 Scanner Guys and 2 Train Aficionados each month.
Yep. All right. Have a great night. We'll catch you again. I'm Jonathan Higgins.
I'm Rich Carlson.
Have a great night.
Later, guys.